Okay, so this is going to be a different type of video from my normal videos, and I definitely did not want to get on here and do this because I did not expect it. The Lord reveals what he wants when he wants, and when he tells you to speak up, you have to be obedient. Last night I had a dream I was at this big camp. Several long, huge buses pulled up. They were black and blue. As they began to park, a dozen of robots got off and began to march in perfect formation, very organized. My friend and I was off to the side. We ran into formation to blend in so it wouldn't look too obvious. As we were marching, I looked around and noticed how fast the robots were moving. They were all white and stiff with poker faces. I looked up and seen a witch, a literal witch, flying in a circular motion, surveying the camp. She took note of me, and I yelled out and began to rebuke her. I started praying, and she became furious. The dream switched, and my spirit was literally transported into a gated facility. It looked like a prison yard. I looked over to my far right, and I seen two guards standing near the gate. They both stood there in royal purple t-shirts. The guy looked in my direction. However, when he looked at me, he looked past me as if I was completely invisible to him. I looked to my left and seen a guy dressed in hippie clothes. I looked slightly over and seeing a young boy near him. I discerned in my spirit the child was around the age of 5. He looked very young. The man then grabbed the young boy and began to sexually assault him. He forced his genitals in his mouth as the kid cried. I looked over at the guards, and they stood there in a very nonchalant manner. My eyes zoomed in like that of a camera lens, and I began to cry more. The kid was choking and crying, but was forced to continue. I grew very furious and just cried out. So here's the dream interpretation. The robots represent the children being conditioned to operate in a manner against their will. They have been institutionalized to become sex slaves. The buses and camps. The buses represent the sex trafficking vehicles from new members coming into the slave camp. Many of our young children and adults are being transported underground by buses and ships, literally. Many of the kids gone missing is literally in these sex camps today. The witch. The witch represents the demonic principalities running this operation. The spirit of lust, greed, addiction, fornication, sodomy, rape, defilement, and pride, and all kinds of other sexual immorality and detestable deeds done by men, blending in with the crowd. In the dream, my friend and I was able to blend into the crowd, which represents us becoming spies in the enemy's camp. The witch knew we were coming to destroy their world of evil and cause confusion to their divination and operation scheme. Now, the crazy thing about this dream, in the scene of my dream, I was invisible, as if I was transported to a real life facility. The Lord truly allowed me to see the real time events of what was going on in these disgusting child sex trafficking camps. When I spoke up, I prayed against it, and I just went into war. I am asking that y'all join me and just pray against this, because we have to pray for our babies and for the youth. As I stood there invisible, no one could see me or hear me. At that very point, I knew I was really transported into a place that actually exists in real life. This stuff is really happening in real time. And we just have to pray against these demonic principalities that's even ruling and controlling these people to do such vile acts to children. And not just children, but young adults and also grown-ups. So let's just keep everyone in prayer. And let's just continue to expose the kingdom of darkness, because it's a lot of people out there who's been held against their will and who's really been trained and conditioned to be a sex slave, all for a scheme of money.